What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Reel Fanatics. I'm your host, Farron. Here again with my man Vito. It's been a long day, y'all. Sorry. And today we're going to be diving into Venom, The Last Dance, third in the trilogy. A franchise that's been a little up and down, has some mixed reviews. I feel like there isn't
Yeah, I
like a
give you that.
clear consensus. There isn't really like a clear consensus amongst like comic book fans and nerd culture on like is this a good trilogy or not. It's just kind of like it's a mixed bag. It's very divided. You either really like these films or you hate them, and there's really not really a middle ground. I feel like um, I'm kind of in the middle. There's some of them that I like. There's some I
Yeah.
don't. I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. Second one I enjoyed a little bit more, and now this one we'll see. I'm kind of in the middle on this one. This is kind of like I haven't really fully formed like a strong opinion one way or the other after watching this once. I'll let you go ahead and give some of your thoughts first, because mine are a little extensive in kind of
Okay.
how I felt about this film overall.
Yeah. I may be tripping, but the in coordination with Marvel that goes across the screen at the beginning. Is that the first time they did that for the Venom movie? Has the rest of them said that?
I'm not sure.
Because
I'll,
I'm
I'm not sure.
thinking this is new, and
Yeah.
that might be the first thing that struck me
Hmm.
was this big. Usually it's just the Sony pictures, but not this time. You got the big red Marvel across the screen, and it
Yeah.
lets you know. I mean, again, this not counting Spider Man, this would be the first Sony product that is has something to do with Marvel. Now, at the end of Venom 2, I do believe they had him at that bar.
Yeah, but at the end of the post credit scene of Venom
Yeah,
2 was
yeah,
when they transferred him, like when I'm assuming they coordinated that with like the end of Spider-Man 3,
yeah,
Far From Home, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, Far From Home or No Way Home. They're all
yeah,
blending together at this point. It was No Way Home. They, took the events from that and basically like used that as an excuse to get Venom into the MCU.
yeah,
So the beginning of this film, it's not really a spoiler because if you've seen Spider-Man No Way
trailer,
Home, you know this
yeah.
already. The beginning of this film is that scene of Venom and Eddie Brock and Venom at the bar in the MCU. So the very opening scene of this film takes place in the MCU.
Yeah, at least the very first,
Yeah.
and I'm actually just trying to find what the other two Venoms are playing on, and seeing if I can pull while we're talking, if I can pull them up, one of them up real quick, and watch that beginning part. But
Yeah.
anyway, like I said, that was one of the parts. That was one of the things that struck me the most. And
Uh-huh.
we've been talking a lot about how are they going to bring mutants into the MCU? How are they going to bring all of the previous Fox products into the MCU?
Yep.
Did they do it with Deadpool? I don't think so. Deadpool again. This Deadpool 3 was the first Deadpool under that Marvel umbrella. All right,
Yeah.
it was a last hurrah for the Fox Marvel products. Um, Anywho, how are they going to do it? Is this going to do it? Again, we know Spider Man does not exist in the Venom universe, the Mobius universe, the fucking
Hmm.
what's her girl name for the movie that they came out with? Madam Web.
I still
I
haven't watched
still
that
have not
actually.
seen that.
I still have not seen that
That's
movie.
I think that's the one movie that I'm fighting to not watch.
So
And
it's I'm not to get too far off on a tangent, but like the thing with something like Madam Web versus like the Marvels, whereas like the Marvels, I don't think is terrible. I
did you
think
watch
it's
it
just
yet?
probably very mid to
I
below
ain't watched it yet.
average. I still haven't watched it, but my
So
image of the Marvels is it's probably mid to like below average. That's not fun.
I'm not
What's
even gonna say below
fun?
average, bro. It's like very average to good. It's good. It's a good movie.
I'll take your word for it.
Stop taking my word for it and watch the fucking movie,
I'll take
man.
your word for it.
Yeah.
Like something like Madam Web, from what I've heard, because I haven't seen it, is so horrendous.
Yeah.
It's like it almost sparks my curiosity as a film fan. Of can it really be that bad? Like how horrendous
Is
can
it
it
that bad?
actually
Yeah.
be? Yeah, like it almost sparks my curiosity to actually like see if it meets my expectations of terrible. versus a movie that I just view as like, like that doesn't like spark my interest as much. But not
Yeah.
that I digress. I just wanted to I just wanted to get that off my chest real
Yeah,
quick. Go
so
ahead.
no problem. But yeah, man, that was the biggest, like I said, initial takeaway from that movie.
Yeah.
As a whole, I think it kind of started slow and it ramped up real fast and got to it. So once, like I said, it started slow, and when things started happening, they started happening fast, and it stayed that way.
Mm-hmm.
It led up for a brief moment, um, for Eddie Brock to be have some a breather. I guess that's the best way to say it, to give him a breather, because um again, from the last movie and from the trailers, he's on the run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, from the events in the second movie. Um, you see, and I know we're trying to do as little spoilers as possible. Um, but I think when it does pick up, like I said, it stays. That it's nonstop action once that happens.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a brief second of them talking, but even that talking and the dialogue that's going on, it's intense,
Yeah.
and that this is important, or something important is about to happen. Something is about to
Yes.
happen that that I should probably be on the lookout for.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I'm dozing off, I probably need to wake my ass up because I'm about to miss something important.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few things in the movie. And again, before I get too far to this, I'm gonna say seven. Um,
Okay.
there were a few things in there that I may, again, I know how Marvel is, but those cliffhangers, and I don't want to say it was a lot of unanswered questions. There were some unanswered questions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and again, it's a movie. Any movie you can pick apart, find things that just don't make any fucking sense. Same thing with Venom.
Yeah.
Um,
There's one scene in particular that like really bothered me,
we
and it
might
has
have to
to.
do a spoiler on that part, because it's a part.
I'm not gonna give any details. I'm just saying it has to do with the dancing.
Okay, that bothered me too, but
That scene really bothered me.
that's not the scene
Like,
that really bothered me, because that scene was like, and the scene I'm talking about happens after that. It has to do with a rocket launcher. Uh,
okay, yeah,
and it's not the army.
yeah, 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 yeah. We're on the same page.
So okay, so that scene was funny to me, and again,
Yeah,
that's the thing with Venom, man. So we got Venom before we got Mobius, right?
yeah, I believe so. Yes, if
Okay,
I
yeah,
think
because
we, cause
we probably wouldn't
yeah.
have got nothing else if we got Mobius.
If
Well, shit, we still,
if this whole villain verse that Sony's doing started with Morbius, yeah, things look very different right now.
because
So Venom was the first one.
they still gave us Madam Web. So um,
Hey, I mean, but it's like at that point you had been a little more established. But
no,
I'm gonna say that
you've only had the Venom movie that are
I'm
good.
saying as far as like films coming out, like if you had like led with Madam
Uh,
Web or led with Morbius, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It
you
would
shouldn't
I
have.
think
Yeah,
things would have
just
played
give
out
it up.
differently.
But
Yeah,
no, like I said, like and as far as you were saying, like the trilogy, man. The first one, actually going into the movie, I'm like, this is stupid. Again, how do you have Spider Man? It's like the Joker. How do you have Batman villains without Batman? How do you
yeah,
have villains that Batman helped create
without
or is
Batman.
responsible
Yeah.
for creating without Batman? Same thing
Hmm.
with Venom. The symbiotes, is older than time. We know exist,
Hmm.
but the form that Venom takes, he takes
It's
because
inspired from Spider
he's
Man. Yeah,
inspired by Spider Man.
yeah.
So that threw me off about the first one initially, but so I went into the first one with very low expectations.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it. It was an okay movie. I'll give you that. It was a very okay movie. Um, the second one was better. The second was good. I like
Yeah,
the second one.
yeah.
I'm also a Woody Harrelson fan, so it's not a
He
lot.
really made that movie, honestly.
It's not a
Yeah.
lot that he's in that comes out bad,
Hmm.
and I think this was a good without much spoilers, there might be more. Okay, I don't think this will be the last. I don't think this will be the last time we see Eddie Brock and Venom in a movie. It
Hmm.
may be the last time we see them in. I'm not even gonna say Sony movie. I think we see them again, and I think we'll see them again in a wider Marvel universe. But
Hmm.
again, that gives, again, the entire movie gives me questions. Okay, what's
Yeah.
next? What's going to happen? Those are good questions. That's the dialogue that you want to have when it comes to movies, especially comic book movies.
Yeah.
Comics in general is having that dialogue. Okay, what did they mean by this? How is this going to happen? How does this connect to this? Those are the good questions. Like I said, there were a few unanswered questions, things that didn't make any fucking sense. And those are the bad questions.
Yeah.
I got about 5 or 6 of those, maybe a little more. Y'all already know how it goes. Once Farhan starts talking and gives his opinion, I'll be thinking about shit. I'm like, you know what, you're right. Yeah, yeah. So my 7 might not stay at 7. As always, my 7 might go up, it might go down. Um, I enjoyed the movie as a whole. That's why I gave it a 7. Like I said, I probably should have rated it higher, but I feel like it wasn't good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good enough to give it an 8. And I think a 7. I think sometimes we're a little harsh with it. I think a 7 is good. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I would go see a 7.
Hmm.
Um, that's all I got, man. I'm trying to think of. I always forget to write my thoughts down, so
No,
I
I think
think
those
that's
are
it for right now.
those are good to jump off of. I mean, I think one of the things for me that stuck out in this film that I particularly enjoyed more than the rest was I felt the dynamic that we see on screen between Eddie Brock and
And
Venom
Venom,
is very, very strong, and it's ramped up even more in this film. I think there's a lot more emphasis because of what the plot of this film is. There's a lot more
yeah,
emphasis put on the relationship between Eddie Brock and Venom. And that relationship and the bond that they have
yeah,
is a very, very strong part of the plot in this film. It is really what drives the story forward. And obviously, when you have an actor the caliber of Tom Hardy displaying that, it comes across very strong. So I think that the strength when this movie's at its best, it
hmm
is when they're focusing on the bond and the dynamic
between them
that
two.
that Venom and Eddie Brock have. I think that's when this film's at its strongest.
Before you jump
Now,
points,
yeah, I want to say there's a
I
butt
told y'all
coming
before.
though. There's a
Before,
butt
so
coming.
I want to get there before you jump points. Again, we already talked about how he's at the bar in the
Hmm.
Marvel in the MCU at the beginning
Yep.
of it. That was probably I just want to say those are my favorite scenes. I think it's
Scenes
when
like that,
when
yes.
he's having he's not having dialogue with himself, but when he's having those dialogues with Venom.
Hmm.
Because you know in the comics, Venom is Venom. He's kind of angry,
Yeah, very
and
angry.
he's like, but in these movies they have him kind of like he's kind of like a child.
Yeah,
He's
yes,
and,
very
and and
childlike.
and that's why it's funny because it's like Eddie Brock doesn't he doesn't control Venom. All right,
Yeah,
and as you've seen other symbiotes, you've seen they take control of their host, and
like
Venom,
fully.
yeah, fully control, and Venom kind of allows Eddie Brock to keep control.
Hmm.
Um, I just remember why one of the
That's a
things that
good
brought it
point,
down for
though.
me. But that's all I want to. That's the only thing I wanted to jump in and say was those are my best. Those were some of my favorite parts because
Yeah,
they're funny and
yeah,
I like comedy. So if it's funny, it's always gonna get me coming back, and I
yeah,
think that's one of the things that about Venom that has me. I'll go see the next one. I'll go see the next one.
yeah.
And
I
this one
think
did not let up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you 100% agree with you on that. I think the comedy in this film, one scene aside, was used very effectively, and
I liked it.
it doesn't like the scene in question isn't a bad scene. It's
It
just
kind of is.
bad
It's
It's
it's bad placement for the
it's bad
moment of what's
placement
going on
for
in
the
the movie.
yes, yeah. Like
I'll
the
give you
scene
that.
in a vacuum. In the vacuum, the scene isn't bad. It
I said
actually fits the character of Venom that we've seen very well.
yes, and
It's
yes,
bad
yes.
placement for the stakes and what's going on at that particular point in the
I want
story.
to go back and I
That
want to
was
agree
not
with you.
smart.
It
Yeah,
is a bad scene, but again, remember it's funny, so that's
yeah,
why I liked it. It
yeah.
really is a bad scene. It should not have. It it shouldn't have been
It
there.
doesn't make sense. It
It
just
didn't.
doesn't. But like, I'm
Because
willing to forgive it in a vacuum because it's consistent with what we've seen from the character of
with him
Venom
being goofy,
throughout the past two. Because there's goofy scenes of him
yeah,
in Let There Be Carnage, right? So I'm willing to forgive that because it's consistent with what we've seen from this character. It is very consistent. But given the stakes and the parameters that you as a movie just set up, the placement of this scene at that particular moment in time is very very stupid.
it
It's
was dumb as
it was
hell. It
very
was
dumb.
dumb
It
as
took me
hell.
out of the movie.
I said, oh, and he warned about it, and I said,
I was
but
just like, so
he's like,
you
he
just sit
warned
here.
him, and then he said, I don't care, okay, but then he said, did y'all practice? Where did y'all practice this? What is like? Yeah, what?
Like, what did you? Oh shit, that happened. Yeah, bro, that's what was going to happen if you did X and you did
And
X.
you did X, and then X happened. You
Like, what are
did
you
X,
talking
and Y
about?
happened.
I just that was one of to me the one of the most I would say like only real unforgivable things that this movie
Yeah,
did, just because it took the stakes out of you spent all that time building the stakes of this thing, and then in one scene ruined it. That was just not a smart narrative
yeah. And he
decision.
kept, because he kind of kept saying it, and he's like,
They
no,
put
we can't do
emphasis
this, we
on
can't
this
do
several
this.
times.
But he's like,
Like,
mm, let me, not spend time with Eddie Brock,
mhm.
spend time with Venom. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Like what's happening,
You
bro?
could
It
have
was just
did
not smart.
anything,
Yeah,
but to
it
do
just wasn't
that.
smart. But that scene aside, I thought the comedy in this was actually done very well. I thought for the most part, it doesn't take away from the very serious and
What's
very
going
heavy
on?
scenes in this movie because there are a few. Like even moving on from Eddie Brock and Venom, like the other characters in this film, while some of them feel a little one note, they're played by very skilled actors, so they're able to get away with it. Like Chiwetel Ejiofor, for example, his character Strickland, very one note,
You
very
said
one
what? How you
dimensional.
say his name?
Chiwetel Ejiofor, that's how you pronounce his
I'm
name.
not gonna try to say it. I'm sorry.
He's not even
And
gonna give that a
I don't
shot.
want to call the nigga Chewy because
Jesus Christ, please don't.
he might like that as a nickname to his friends, but to a nigga that don't know him, I'm not gonna call him that because
Yeah,
am I calling you Chewbacca?
yeah. Now
I'm
that Chewy is nuts. I'm never even heard
hey man, I can't.
that.
I listen.
But
I'm gonna
just
need
say
niggas.
CE. He's
I'm gonna
CE.
need. I'm gonna need a
He's
motherfucker
CE.
like they gotta sign
Yeah.
it off for me before I get that shit
He's
right. I'm not even
CE
gonna
to
try and
you for the
say it.
rest of the episode. Just call him
I
CE.
I did not enjoy his character.
He's not his character is
Again,
very one
yeah,
dimensional. His
he's
character is very,
a
very one
great
dimensional.
actor, so I really thought we were going to get more of him.
I
But like you
agree.
said, one note, one dimensional, and kind of a fucking idiot
Yeah, it's like those. I mean, it's damn near a cliche in movies at this point.
to have that
The
bad that bad.
yeah,
And
the
the fact
head
they made him
military
a
dude
fucking
who's Strickland, like the
no
most.
a general. A
Oh
general's
yeah,
not doing this shit.
yeah,
A
but it's
general's not
also
doing
like
this.
it's very well. Also, I feel like you're also coming from the perspective of someone who has served. The
No.
general public is not viewing it that way.
Even looking at let's look at the first, not the first, first Hulk, second Hulk.
Hmm.
What was the general was not out there fighting niggas. He was out there.
Yeah,
But he was ordering, hey, do this, do that, do
yeah,
this, pull
yeah,
back. He
yeah,
was not out there up in niggas' faces,
yeah,
getting shit
yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah.
So, and then when you look at the rest of the Marvel movies, it's whenever they're talking to generals,
Hmm.
outside of War Machine, what's his name? Rhodes.
Yeah, Rhodey.
Rhodey. Rhodey is, he's a colonel when he's doing that shit, which is still a very like,
Yeah,
mm, but whatever, give it to him. A general's not doing that, man.
he was in the field with his troops a
He was,
little more than I was. I was definitely expecting him to be a dude behind the computer screen. When it was like when he was out in the field, I was like, oh, Strickland trying to get down. But I mean,
yeah,
he didn't even really do much
he
until the
didn't.
very end. Like he was like physically there, but it ain't like he was out fighting the
Yeah,
symbiotes or doing anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
that's only
Um,
because he didn't get the opportunity to.
Yeah, well, I
When
mean,
when
yeah.
he was when he was out in the field, there wasn't that action part wasn't there for him.
Yeah, yeah,
He was
yeah.
trying, and every other scene that had him and I'm just say something happening,
Hmm.
he was kind of step back until, like you said, until the end when it was kind of like everybody should be fighting. You
Yeah.
know, that makes sense where he's fighting at this
Look,
point,
we're gonna
but
need all hands on deck at this point.
everything
Yeah.
else, because the part that gets me is he even like he speaks to a guy like, first of all, he's a general now. I think he said a lieutenant or a captain. It was a captain was
Hmm.
under him. So again, it go general captain. So that one is gonna be the military part. but
Yeah, so
but
I was like,
the
I feel like
but
you're bringing knowledge that the general
but
public is not
but
going to
but
watch
the
this movie and
rest
be
of it
like,
is like you know, as a
that is a good
general,
point though about
uh,
him being in the field.
even other
Yeah,
movies, bro, a general's not in the field, but then
yeah, that is a good point.
they show a nigga that's under him,
Yeah,
and you like, okay, where was this nigga at during all of
yeah,
this?
yeah,
He's nowhere to be found. So
yeah.
what do you? He's doing your work while
Why
you
why
out gallivanting and shit. You
you
know,
while you out risking your life, he
you
chilling. The
out
person that's
you out
supposed to be out
yeah,
there.
you out in the streets getting shit done. You feel me? And I'm sorry that just brought back one of the things that, like, again,
Mhm.
I said it, but I'm gonna pull back because I got more that I'm gonna tack on at the end.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good point, like about his character. But like is another thing that I think is consistent with him, like that's like the point I was getting to about it kind of being like a trope or a
Yeah.
cliche in films at this point of just like the headstrong, hard headed general or hard headed military figure, whatever his rank is, that's just shoot now, ask questions later, and try to go in guns blazing without really fully assessing the risk of the situation. You know what I'm saying? Like
Eh,
that's kind of like a cliche in movies at this point, and I feel like that's just what his character was
have you
for
seen
the majority of this film.
the Bumblebee movie?
Yes,
So
yes.
they do that
That is a
really
perfect
well
example of what I'm talking about.
with John Cena. And John
That
Cena said, and I think he was a colonel in there, I think, as well. And John Cena said, wait. Y'all gonna take the side of Decepticons? It's in their name.
yeah,
He's like,
like
deception
what?
is in their name. What are you doing? I know I got a little loud there. I just
Yeah,
see my
no,
little meter go
that's a
red, but
very good point though. That's a very very good point. And I think a very good example of what I'm talking about. Like of
yeah.
just I think and once again, I think Strickland works because he's played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, and Chiwetel is just he's such a strong actor that he's able to
Mm-hmm.
kind of overcompensate for the fact that he's playing a very one dimensional character. But it still doesn't. He's good, but it's not overshadowing too much that his character's one dimensional. It's clear to see that, but he's just playing the role very well that it doesn't come across as egregious as it probably could if you had someone who wasn't as skilled in that role. And then he's not the only one dimensional character in here, though. Really, every character not named Eddie Brock
Venom.
or Venom that's in this film is one dimensional.
Because
Like two other characters I want to touch on, though, before you
the
jump in. Two other
scientists.
characters I want to touch on. You know exactly who I was
I'm
going
sorry.
to.
'Cause it's both of them.
Dr. Teddy Payne, Juno Temple, the actress name is Dr. Teddy Payne. She is like if
Was that
Chiwetel
the white
Ejiofor's
one?
character is if
Okay.
Chiwetel Ejiofor's character is the cliche military figure that just goes in guns blazing and is just hard headed, she's the cliche scientist who just wants to throw out reason for the sake of science. Like there's a
And it's
scene in
hard
here,
headed though.
and it's equally as hard headed. There's a scene in here. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you've seen the trailers, you know Detective Mulligan's in this movie. And if you know the comics, you know which symbiote he is in the comics. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but you know he's a symbiote
So
of
I did
some
not.
kind.
I tried not to watch the. I seen like the first trailer with the horse. I
Yeah,
really tried not. That's the only one I've seen. I was like, oh, this is fucking stupid. I don't want to
yeah.
see this. That's the only one I watched. Um,
He was in some of the TV spots too, so I'm assuming like if you've just seen a commercial, maybe
missed
like
them.
you've probably
So
seen
I
him
was actually shocked
when he was in there. He was like, "Hold on,
yeah, I was
I
like,
don't think he
wait.
made it out of the second movie.
I
What's he
thought
doing here?"
and they make and again
Yeah,
they make him being dead a point of the
a
movie.
point. Yes,
Again, we just don't.
until he pops
I
up.
think we can say that part that
I mean, if
they
you've seen the
blame
second movie,
they
yes, we're not.
blame when he
Yeah,
dies on Eddie Brock, and that's one of the
yeah,
reasons he's on the run. So when I
yeah.
seen him, and I'm like, how the fuck on he
I'm
alive?
like, where'd he come from?
And
Like,
yeah, so that's all. I missed it, and
yeah,
I'm not the only other symbiote I am familiar with is Carnage.
Okay, so there was
Yeah,
okay, so that's fair. Having played Spider-Man 2 helped me with recognizing another one of the symbiotes in this movie.
the game.
Um yeah.
It's another one. I gotta do it, man. I ain't
Oh
played it
yeah,
neither,
Venom's
so
not the only symbiote in that game. I'm not gonna say who else is in
man.
there if you haven't played it, but Venom's not the only symbiote in that game. And the other character that Detective Mulligan, his symbiote, I know of just from general comic
Yeah,
knowledge that I've researched and learned a little bit more about symbiotes. So his symbiote basically gives the message to the both the military personnel and
yeah.
the scientists, like, hey,
Something's
our
coming.
creator, he a motherfucker, and y'all might want to do X, Y, and Z and take these certain precautions, because if he gets what he wants, it ain't just symbiotes that's cooked. It's all y'all, everybody and everything. If you draw breath or have a heartbeat or are any form of life in the
You done.
universe, you're
If
cooked.
you're not him, you're done.
Like if you are not him, you're cooked. So
It was Strickland say for her.
Strickland was like, okay, so easy, quick solution: eliminate the threat. Just eliminate the threat. No questions asked. Eliminate the threat.
And what she
Which,
say?
well, this is very valuable research that could be found
Bitch, what?
within this situation. It's like, mother, bitch, you just found out the world's about to end. Like you just found out the world might end, and you worry about some damn research. Like like Strickland might be hard headed, but at least his response made a little bit more sense given the news he just heard.
I'm gonna
Your
say
response is just idiotic
his response to that.
to that.
Because some of his responses to other shit was like it's the
Yeah,
same way it was with her saying, let's let's research it.
let's research.
No,
I'm like,
listen,
what? Are you
I'm all
out your
for it,
rabbit ass
but
mind?
if they was like, hey man, Vito, if that nigga do this, we all dead, and there's
Yeah,
proof of it happening. I wouldn't be mad if niggas was trying to take my head off.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? It'd be
I'm
like,
be mad because it's me, but also I'm be like,
yeah.
I get your point.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that was just my and another there's another character I need to touch on before I even get on that. Like Strickland, Teddy Payne, two very one note characters that are very consistent parts of this movie. And in the case of Dr. Teddy Payne, they try to like give her a backstory and
I
try to
was
like
so fucking mad,
it
dude,
was weird because
because I
like
didn't need it
I didn't. I thought her because they show this backstory very early on. Like the
very
first
early.
scene where you see her character, they try to set her up as she's going to be very important,
Very important.
and then she's really not.
She's not at,
Like
at
that
all,
that
though.
whole backstory was really unnecessary. Like she's really not an essential character to the plot, except for the end is when she becomes essential.
I don't. I want to say like even then, like central for plot, no, because what she did at the end ultimately didn't push the forward. It it didn't.
Yeah,
It may have
it
again
was
for
fan
if
service.
you're looking at this and you're saying okay, this is the last Venom movie,
Yeah.
but we know how Marvel is, and they will bring people back in the most randomest shit and
Mhm.
say, okay, well, we brought them back from this, we brought them back from that. They're probably going to do that, or at least opening their options to do it. But
Yeah.
outside of that, and you look at everything she did,
She really
she
wasn't an essential character.
she didn't do
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah. She was
and
not important to the story overall, honestly.
there were a lot of times when she could have saved people, and she just did something completely else.
Yeah, she's a definitely like a character just so hell bent on like research of the symbiotes and all of that. She doesn't really see
Yeah.
the bigger picture at times, and then like I said, the backstory that they try to give to her just doesn't feel like it's necessary or needed. It's just added time to the film and doesn't really do anything for the story as a whole. But neither one of those characters are as egregious as the third character I'm about to name. You got Ray Fons, and I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing the actor's name a little bit, to play. Keep in mind, this person has played Dr. Connors in a previous Spider-Man movie.
Was that him?
Yes,
Oh
that was
shit!
Lizard. That was Lizard. That's
I,
Lizard from
I, I
the Amazing
kept
Spider-Man.
I kept looking at him like, damn, he looks so familiar, but I
Yeah,
could
he's
not
Lizard.
place his face.
That is Lizard. And you have him playing the father of this hippie family, which I will give the film was a funny joke initially when they first introduced it. I'm like,
It
all
wasn't too
right,
long,
this fits for the tone of this film. Perfect. But then this character keeps popping up
and they
and
kept doing
keeps
dumb.
popping up.
They did dumb shit too.
And then eventually shows up in a situation where this character really doesn't belong in this
At
current
all.
situation with everything that's happening. And they're really only there just because we need to have Venom needs to have someone to save. And this is the vehicle in which we're going to do that. Other than that, there's really no point
At all.
in this
At
character
all.
and his family having as much screen time as they did. There's no reason whatsoever. That to me, that dancing scene also, but to me, that was one of the biggest mistakes this movie made was giving this like out of the blue hippie family as much screen time as they got. I was not expecting this family to be as involved in this film as they were.
So I want to say,
They were in way too many scenes.
so they
They
were
were
in
in
way
way
too
too
many
many scenes.
scenes, and one I'm gonna let a little bit of a spoiler out. The initial moment that Eddie Brock meets this family, they give him a ride somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we did not need to see this entire ride.
They showed way too much.
But again,
But
we like you said, he said something to
yeah,
someone that kind.
like
We
there's
Let's
the
be
way
honest, we
that
didn't
scene
need it.
progresses, the way so like the initial scene where he meets the family, the way that scene progresses,
Mm-hmm.
I actually like because it actually has an impact on Eddie Brock and Venom as characters. And that scene in and of itself, this family was used as a vehicle to further,
Yeah.
dive deeper into the emotional state of Eddie Brock. So that I was like, that was a smart tool or vehicle to kind of use that and showcase that to the audience.
Was the singing smart?
You said was the singing? Probably not, but
And
whatever.
that's what I was
Get your shit
getting
off.
at, man.
Yeah, the singing,
That's
no,
it.
but
I was
get your
like,
shit off.
yo, what the
Yeah,
again, man, like you can pick apart any movie,
yeah,
and that's one of the parts where I kind of almost every scene with them in it, outside of his initial meeting, was one that I will pick apart every time because
absolutely.
every since that happened, everything else that happened was incredibly stupid that had them in
Yeah,
it. The
yeah,
not the last scene, but the second to last, to where they get where they want to go,
hmm,
they do something that's completely stupid.
yeah,
And I was wondering, I said, "What? There's no one else here? Why is
yeah,
there no? So,
yeah,
but yeah, I did not know that was him though. I
yeah.
like I said, I
That's
kept looking.
Lizard.
I'm like, damn, he's
That's Lizard.
familiar.
That's Lizard. And that's another thing is initially when I saw because initially if you would looked on IMDb or like the trailers, like
You
I
see,
looked on IMDb before this, he wasn't listed as a character. You
okay.
just see Ray Fonz in this movie, and you know that they're dabbling in the multiverse
Oh,
already
he was
because
unnamed.
he was unnamed. So I see him cast in this, and I'm thinking like, oh shit,
We about to get it.
Lizard's in this
Venom. We
movie.
about to get a Venom lizard.
I'm like, oh shit, Lizard's in this movie. And then I see the scene, and I'm like, oh,
He's not.
okay, all right, cool. It ain't Lizard, whatever. We got enough in this film that Lizard probably wouldn't really make sense to be in this movie the way this is progressing anyway. But I thought that initial scene would be it. We might see them again at the end of the movie after the conflict's been resolved. Like maybe Eddie Brock
Right.
pulls
He
up
get
on him or
another
something.
ride.
Yeah, but I didn't think that they would then like continue to be a part of the film after that. That was like very nerve wracking.
Yeah.
But that's really it. Like as far as my negatives of the film, that's really it. The characters are very one note, and what actually I take that back. I have one more criticism. The characters are very one note. There's a scene in there that kind of undermines all the tension that you had set up prior to that scene happening. The dancing scene is what I'm referring to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then the I said the characters being one note, the scene undermining everything, and then this family just being in the film over and over again unnecessarily. One more critique I have of this film, and it's not a strong critique because I understand why they did this, but my other critique is how they handled No.
I like it.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but I feel like if you're going to convey to the audience that hey, this dude is like that, you need to showcase that at least a little. So for people like you or me, we don't need to be shown what Noel is capable of. because we're
see,
nerds.
see, before you go long
But
though,
I just one more thing. I saw this movie with people who weren't nerds. And a lot of them were leaving the theater going,
who the fuck
so
is
what the
that?
fuck is so important about this Noel dude? Like, all he did was sit on a fucking chair and complain the whole time. Like, they don't understand why he's as big of a threat as he is. So I feel like for the general public needed to see something. Like, I'm not saying it had to be present day, but clearly they explained, hey, in the
Yeah,
past, the
why he was
symbiotes
there.
imprisoned Noel and all that. Like, I feel like we needed to see something of Noel either at the beginning of time or just something to showcase his power and how much of a threat he is. I'm not saying it has to be much because I don't think you needed to see a lot of Noel in this movie. I think you should introduce him and then save him for something later. But I think to convey to the audience, like, hey, y'all need to see and fully understand how much of a threat this dude is. I think there needs to be a little bit more than what we got, and I'll leave
So
it at that.
I think so. One, I think again, I don't think I think he's going to be a much larger threat in the. I hope in the Marvel universe as a whole.
I agree. We're gonna see
And
him in an MCU
so
movie at
I
some
I
point.
think that's what I want to say. That's what I was going to say. I think what
Yeah,
they're doing is they're giving them the Thanos treatment.
yeah, they
You
are.
know, the
Yeah,
first time we seen Thanos, what we seen him like a
he turned
chair, and
around and
that was it.
smiled. That's fair.
Yeah, so that
Yeah,
that was it. You know, so I think we did see way more of Noel than we did a Thanos, and we got to see some of his powers. My man's is
yeah,
opening portals across the universe, and
yeah,
he's in prison. You
yeah.
know, and one of the I'm trying not to give too much away, but one of the main vehicles that he used to kind of further his goal is another species that is I don't want to say it's similar to the symbiotes, but it's a
Very
cat
vicious and very powerful
cat's
species.
out the bag.
Yeah,
Noel created the fucking symbiotes. It is a spoiler, not a spoiler,
that's
but
not really a spoiler.
but
That's in the
but
trailer, so
oh, was it okay? But
yeah,
outside of that, he creates another species after them. And that's why, so you see, again, when you look at fucking Thanos in the first couple films, actually all of the films, he didn't do shit. He's
outside of
sitting.
Guardians of the Galaxy, that's really the only scene where
What
you
did he
really
do in
even.
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh no, I take that back. He didn't do a damn thing. He threatened Ronan. That's really
He
it.
threatened him, and
Yeah,
that's
but
when
he didn't do
okay, he's
anything.
stronger than
Yeah,
Ronan. But
yeah,
honestly, we don't know how strong Ronan is compared to other people.
yeah,
Outside of the Guardians, and none of
yeah,
them are like fucking a Thor, so
yeah, yeah.
or even a Hulk. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't know how strong he is. But we got to see some of his power. Like you said, I have not read the King in Black series, so I've only seen bits and pieces of it online and
Mm-hmm.
stories like
Mm-hmm.
that. So, but I do know he's a fucking problem.
Yeah, yeah,
I know he's a fucking problem, and they don't showcase that. But I'm cool with them not. We know he's gonna be a problem just by the few lines that he had.
yeah.
Um, I don't. I think they could have probably done more of. I agree with what you said about the showcasing him before time before
Yeah, like I'm not
because
saying it has to be much. Like I don't think I just want to preface what I'm saying. I don't think we should have seen a lot of Noel in this
yeah,
movie. I think what they showed us of Noel is the appropriate amount.
I
We
think
don't
we've
need to
seen too
see a
much of
lot of
him
him.
to be honest with you.
Yeah, like we don't need to see a lot of him. He needs to be that presence lingering in the background. But I'm only saying that for the people who aren't as familiar with him. I just noticed in the dialogue I had with them, like, they really don't have a lot of the average person does not have a lot of context on this character and how powerful he truly is. So you're really just kind of telling the audience, like, hey y'all should be scared of this dude. We're not gonna show you
Honestly,
why, but y'all should be scared of him. You know what I'm
outside
saying?
of the first symbiote telling them like, hey, he gonna do
Yeah.
this, he didn't
Yeah.
say like what he was gonna do. He just said he's gonna end it all.
Yeah.
And again, so I do get the science and skepticism on that point because okay,
Yeah.
how is he going to do this? How is
Yeah.
he that strong? Shit. We caught you. We caught all your friends.
We caught
Like
you. We got all your friends locked up downstairs.
y'all
So
niggas ain't that bad. And then they see his other kids and they're like,
yeah.
oh, this nigga built like that. He like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
then again, by the end of the movie, this is resolved. Those other
Yeah.
niggas ain't there no more
Hmm.
that we know of.
Yeah.
So I will give you that. I think like I said, I do want to say that I think we've seen some of his powers because again, his other kids, that's one. They are way stronger
Then symbiotes. Yeah.
than the symbiotes are. Um,
Yeah.
I hate to even say that part because that's something that you find out in a movie.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I'm not even gonna say the part I was about to say. But they are designed to fight the symbiotes like
Hmm.
that, like they were built to fight them. And then, like I said, so Bill, and he did this while in prison.
Yeah.
And then
Created a whole
again,
species while being in prison. That is fair.
and
That is
then,
fair.
like I said, the portals thing. So that I'll say that's an
Yeah.
issue that I have is how is this
Yeah.
nigga doing all this? Why
While being locked
is
up.
yeah?
Yeah.
Why is now, which the thousands and thousands and thousands of years that he's been locked up, the event that he needed to happen to be free just now happened. It
That's the
didn't happen.
thing, though. It happened 2 movies ago.
That you feel me? That's like it.
Yeah, like it happened 2 movies ago. So it's. I am curious as to why he is just
Well,
now like,
well,
hey,
they did say like the events from Venom 1 and Venom to now it has only been a year.
that is also yeah. Because I think what Venom I okay, I do remember when Venom 2 came out. They said like this does not happen that long after the
Well, I'm
events of the
saying like
first
in
movie.
this movie,
Yeah,
Venom
they
said
they said
like
it's only been a year.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
like we've been together almost a year or something like that. But
yeah,
that's just what I'm saying, man. Like they could have how I'm saying like in the course of history, he's older than the universe.
uh-huh,
The universe he was here. The universe was here. We
uh-huh,
were here.
uh-huh,
We imprisoned him.
uh-huh.
They don't say why they imprisoned him. They just
That's what
say
I'm
they
saying. There's just
imprisoned
not a
him.
lot of detail given about that character in any
Yeah,
capacity.
and then they're like, okay, we imprison. How did you imprison him? Not
Yeah,
why, how, and
how?
then again, like I said, you're telling me that it, in all this millennium that nothing, no other event has occurred for him to become free until now, and on top of that, all of these symbiotes were fucking friendly. Like,
Yeah,
so you're like,
yeah.
okay, well, what happened to we got Carnage and I forgot who was in the first one, but
What's the name of that symbiote in the first movie?
the point I'm trying to make
It'll
is
come to me in a minute.
those are the only two bad symbiotes that we've seen, and we've
Yeah.
seen a lot of bad symbiotes. Us comics. You've seen a lot of bad symbiotes. We've
Hell,
seen
the symbiotes in this movie that were good are technically villains. Like none of the symbiotes in that we
well
saw in this film in the comics are good guys.
yeah no yeah and that's what I
you know,
mean.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
So they made them all good, and I guess their reason is to survive. But then
yeah,
they it's not that they say things in there to like, no, we it's for the good, But
yeah.
maybe I'm asking for too much for that part right there.
Hmm.
But we've only seen two bad symbiotes, and
Riot, that was the name of the symbiote in the
okay,
first film.
so technically, Riot, Carnage, and I'm gonna say Venom initially.
Yeah.
So these other and I had to explain to somebody. I said, they like, well, how does this person know what's going on? And Noel is connected to all the symbiotes, and I
It's a
think
hive mind. Yeah.
Venom kind of explains that at the end of
I think it was
was
Venom
that
2. He
Spider
explained
Man?
that.
Oh, like
It
they're
was
all connected throughout,
Yeah, it was
like
at
through
the
the
end of Venom
multiverse and
2. He
everything.
explained, like, I have
Yeah,
a hive mind with the rest of the symbiotes, and there's just this general knowledge that we all share that's interconnected. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
um, good point. I don't disagree with what you're saying because you're right. We do see some of what Nola's capable of.
We
We do
see
see,
some, but we don't see let's and because again, I'm disagreeing with you, but I'm agreeing with you while you're agreeing with me while I disagree with you because we don't see we don't see a lot that we should.
yeah.
Like I said, we seen him showcase it because knowing how he is in the comic that presents him
Hmm.
and the shit he does, we
Yeah.
don't see that,
That we
which is
shouldn't
cool.
see in this
Yeah,
movie,
which
though.
is cool.
Yeah.
But what we do see is like, okay, what is this? What is that? What is this? What is that?
Yeah.
And with the Avengers, we didn't find out about Thanos until fucking well, we knew about Thanos
Yeah. Here's the
somewhat.
difference, though. I'll say this. Here's the difference. Because the way Thanos was introduced to the audience, he was introduced in a post-credit scene in a movie that was not about him
I
being the
give you that
central
too.
threat.
I give you that.
You know what I'm saying? Like the
I
entire
will give you
movie
that.
had
Yeah,
happened with someone else being the central
main
target and
villain.
threat to the Avengers. And then the end of the movie was just like, hey, so yeah, that dude y'all just spent that whole movie being worried about, someone else sent him.
Well, that's
And
part
here's
of the
who that
point.
someone else
That's part of the
is.
point I'm making. You know, with
This
Thanos.
movie starts out. Actually, we said the opening scene was in the
The bar.
MCU. The opening scene is Null.
Oh, it sure
I'm,
was.
I'm
And
not
him.
gonna say what happens, but this scene opens up with Null.
It sure
Or
did.
the film opens up with Null. Like the very first thing you see after the opening credits is Null.
You're 100% right.
So this film immediately sets up, hey y'all, audience, hey
Yeah.
y'all, this is who y'all should be worried about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then proceeds to give the audience no context
At all.
as to why you should be worried about this person.
Because even when we find out, you know, or the characters in the film find out why they should be worried, it's further into the
Further
movie.
in, and then even that's given a very lackluster explanation.
Yeah,
He gonna end everything.
How? Like I said, with
That's all I
Thanos,
get.
bro, with Thanos, when he was introduced to the characters,
Yeah,
was Endgame, not
yeah.
Endgame.
Infinity War.
Infinity Wars.
Like
And
when the Avengers found out who he was.
and the
Yes.
first thing he did, Thor was on the floor bleeding. All the Asgardians was fucked up, and he beat the Hulk's ass. So you seen how dangerous this
Initially.
man was.
Like off rip.
Initially. So again,
Yes.
not knowing anything about comics, and you go in, you like,
who
this? He beat the Hulk up.
Effortlessly
beat the Hulk and Thor up effortlessly, no sweat. And then he gets sent to Earth, Banner gets sent to off. He's like, Thanos is coming, and they're like,
who you talking
what?
about? They're like a who?
And then on top of that, when he explains it, because I think he explained like he's old too.
Yeah.
And once he explains it, fucking there's an attack. Another alien invasion happens. So like he pounding pavement. You know Thanos is a threat. Thanos lets you know he's a threat. In this movie, like I said, that's why I'm agreeing with you on some points, I guess I'll say. Because we did get introduced to him. We know because I'm gonna say he's not the main villain because he didn't do anything.
But like he is,
but
though.
he is.
Like the entire story is about him trying to get something.
So what I'm saying is, we know he's gonna be like somebody's gonna have to fight him at some point.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
never going
to
be
villain wise. Yeah. But you know, right now, like I said, to introduce him in that aspect, you know, I feel like they could have gave us another mode from the what was sent to do their thing. Maybe something that talks and was like, hey, our dad sent us. You know,
or something
like
you know
that.
what I'm saying?
You know,
like,
it was.
It didn't even have to be, because I even said like show something, right? Even if you didn't want to show the audience really any of Noel's powers, I can respect that decision. But at least have a vehicle of some kind, maybe the symbiotes that imprisoned him. Give the audience a vehicle or a character that gives some level of explanation as to how much of a threat he is beyond he gonna end everything. And then just that's all we get. Like, no. And then everything we know about this character is very surface level and given like very lackluster explanation. Like Venom saying we imprisoned him.
How?
No other explanation beyond that.
What? Yeah. Or
Detective Mulligan's symbiote. He a problem. He gonna end it all.
Even his powers, like to teleport.
Give us a little bit more context as to why the audience should be afraid of this person.
Why can this nigga teleport stuff and not himself? Why, you know, how again, how did they imprison him? Meaning, how did you win in a fight, and what did you use to imprison him?
Yeah.
Why? How are you teleporting things across the universe? Multiple things across the universe, and then how did you?
You're still stuck in a cage.
How did you create a whole nother species? And while we imprisoned you, where is he in prison? You know,
I don't know if they ever mentioned that or not, but Venom might have slipped that in there in his
I
little
know.
very brief explanation,
Again,
but I don't remember.
I don't. You ain't got to say nothing because I know
Yeah.
you may know, but I don't. I don't know, but I know
Mhm.
they did mention the home planet, and that's the only thing I can think of is
Oh
he's on the home
yes,
planet.
they
But
imprisoned him on whatever the symbiote's
okay,
home planet is where he's imprisoned at. He
because they
can't leave
also
there.
don't.
Yes,
They
I was like, I
also
feel like I
don't.
remember them saying the location he's at.
I don't
Yes,
remember them saying that at all, but I also
yeah.
don't remember them saying how they got to Earth. All the symbiotes. They
It was the meteor
they
from the
come by.
first
They
film.
come through the meteor,
They
but
retconned it because in the first film it was just Venom
it was
that
just
crashed,
Venom. But they
but they
keep fucking
retconned it in
coming.
this movie and said it's like, oh, all the symbiotes were on that meteor. You just didn't see the rest of them.
Yeah, and that kind of got me because I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
so y'all doing what the Transformers did?
yeah,
Like
they retconned
y'all
it for
niggas was
sure.
hiding, y'all was hiding amongst
Yeah,
us, and we
they
ain't know.
retconned it.
That's all I got, man. I think
Yeah,
I kind of want to go lower now after all that shit about
yeah.
Noel, but I'm
I'm
gonna keep
a
it at a 7.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5. This is
Mm.
not a bad movie, y'all. It's not bad. It's not
No,
a
no,
bad
it's a
movie.
good movie.
I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. And I feel like if you are a fan, this really is just dependent on how you feel about the Venom franchise.
Yeah, I mean,
If
and
you
comics
like,
in general.
yeah, but I'm gonna say specifically this franchise because the tone is very consistent
Yeah,
through the
very.
three films. Like, if you enjoyed the first two Venom movies in any capacity, I think you'll like this. If you watched the first two Venom films, it was like, this ain't really for me. The Last Dance is not going to be the one that moves the needle for you. It's
Yeah.
just not.
No,
It's just
especially with
not.
the dancing scene.
Yeah, that's actually probably going to piss you off more than it pissed me off, and it pissed me off a lot.
We know. We know.
like you probably go damn near
Oh
walk out the
shit.
theater when that happens if you didn't like the first two Venom movies, and then you see that, like, just straight up. But I think there's more good in this film than there is bad. I just think the things that aren't good in this film are like key things that like you kind of can't miss on. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're things that like they either take you out of the film or they like kind of drag down a scene that would have been better off without this thing being in there. So it's like they're critiques that are important because they impact your enjoyment of certain scenes or just like your ability to be immersed in the film. So for that reason, I give it a 6.5. I would like to go higher. There's some things I was expecting to see in this film that I didn't, which is fine. I still enjoyed it. I still liked it, but there's definitely some scenes that, like you said, kind of left me wanting more and left me with some unanswered questions, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm gonna stick to my 6.5 out of 10. But I will say one thing this film did do is I think it set it made the Sony films important to the MCU,
Yep.
which is a that for Sony is a big step.
And again,
This
I
yeah,
don't think, I don't think that we've had a in coordination with Marvel
not really.
before this. I mean, outside of Spider-Man. So the
Yeah.
Venom verse, which are we gonna call it? I don't think
hmm
we've had nothing.
So, well, they've like dabbled in cross and blurring the lines between these two worlds, right? So, like, obviously Spider-Man is already in the MCU, but that's already been set up. Tom Holland was already in the
Yeah.
MCU. He was never in the Sonyverse, right? But I don't know if, and granted, this might not be a well-known thing because it's Morbius, and really, who the fuck cares about that movie? But the end credit scene of Morbius has Vulture in
Oh,
it.
it sure does.
It has Vulture in it. So they have dabbled
So
in
hold on.
crossing the lines between these two universes
So
before. And then they blatantly did it when they brought Venom into No Way Home. So they
Mobius was.
dabbled in it and then they blatantly did
So
it.
now I got questions. Mobius, who was in jail that met the Falcon or the Vulture?
I want to say, I think it was the same. If I'm remembering correctly, it was the same dude that was supposed to play Matt Gargan, aka Scorpion, in, was
That's
it
what it was. The guy that
Homecoming?
plays. Well, so
Yeah, Scorpion
this is
in Homecoming, in Spider-Man Homecoming, is that same
this
actor.
this is he's not in a Venomverse then.
Are you
Mobius
saying Morbius?
Mobius is Mobius
He is though, because they reference Venom in that movie.
And the Mobius one. See,
It
so
it's a slight reference, but it's a reference. Like, oh yeah, that weird alien situation in San Francisco. They
so
don't outright say it, but you know what they're talking about.
like they do on the TV shows when they say that when it keeps mentioning or on the Marvel shows
The Marvel shows, they're
the
like
New
the
York the
incident.
New
It's
York
like they don't
incident.
say the Chitauri and Loki, but you know what they're talking about.
So
It was
so
like
that,
something like that.
that's my issue with Sony,
Yeah.
man, as a whole. We know Spider-Man is in the MCU. We know
Mm-hmm.
for a fact Spider-Man is in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
We know for a fact that fucking Spider-Man does not exist in the Venom universe. But then you gave us a Mobius movie who exists in the Venom
Yeah.
universe, but also he's there with Venoms from fucking
From the
from
MCU.
Spider-Man from the
Yeah.
MCU because I do remember that scene now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking like maybe it's a multiverse thing.
I think
I
that's what it is. I chalked it up to
so
whatever the hell Doctor Strange.
it's another
No,
vulture.
I assume that's the same Vulture. I'm chalking it up to Doctor Strange multiverse shit from No Way Home. That's just what I'm chalking it up to. Because I don't know how else to explain that why he's there. I have no other explanation as to why he's there.
Oh,
Um,
Mobius, yeah,
yeah,
or
either
not Mobius,
Mobius,
but
but
the
Vulture. There's
Scorpion,
no
yeah.
other explanation as to why those two characters are crossing paths. So I just chalked it up to Doctor Strange, No Way Home multiverse shit. That's just what I'm chalking it up to until I get another explanation. Um,
You know what's crazy about that? I'm sorry.
what?
So at the end of Spider-Man 3, I know he made everybody again. The thing was make everybody forget Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That's not what the fuck they did. They made everybody forget Peter
Forget Peter
Parker.
Parker. Period.
Did they still know about Spider-Man? Does Spider-Man still exist? Do they know
They don't
Spider-Man
really
exists?
like. They don't
Or
really like make that clear. Honestly, I'm gonna
because
assume yes because you see a dude in red and blue swinging around
okay,
still. Like Spider Man hasn't stopped being Spider Man, so
so now I'm
like
asking
I'm
because
assuming yes. They just might not know Peter Parker at
it's just
all.
crazy. Like
Yeah,
he doesn't exist anymore, which is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But also, so now the Vulture's in jail, and he knows Spider Man helped put him there, but
You don't know who Spider Man is.
he don't know who's So again, the only reason he knew that had a lot to do with like his relationship with his daughter and all this
Yeah.
shit. So
I don't
it's
think we're seeing
like,
Vulture in an MCU movie again, though. So I don't think they're going to have to. I don't think the audience is going to get to a point where they're going to force the writers to address that. Like, I don't think we're seeing Vulture in an MCU movie again. That's just my thought. I could be wrong, but I mean, I could be wrong. Shit, we're still getting the leader in Captain America 4,
which is
and we ain't seen
wild.
him since
Didn't
2008.
No
So
one
since the
thought that.
Hulk came out,
Who thought
so
that was gonna be? And again, I'm thinking it's still another hidden villain in there somewhere
there probably is, but like I'm
because
just
that's
saying,
so
like
wild
Marvel
for
has shown that they'll take villains from 10 years ago and
anywhere.
bring them back. So I could be wrong on Vulture, but as of right now, I don't think we're seeing him
Shit,
again.
them bringing Crossbones back,
Them
and
bringing Abomination back,
what was the GSP name? He was the I forget his name. He the nigga that bounce everywhere.
bounce.
He like jump every like leapfrog or some shit like that. Captain America fought him in Civil War. The first he was on the boat.
Yeah, I think
Not
that's
Civil War.
Crossbones
No, that wasn't Crossbones. I'm talking about
at the
George
end of
St.
Winter
Pierre,
Soldier.
the beginning of Winter Soldier.
Yeah, the MMA fighter.
Yeah, it's like leapfrog or something. It started with a B. I'm a
I
get it.
don't
It's
recall
it's it's
exactly,
really
but I know who you're talking
unimportant.
about. I
I was
know
just
he's a
thinking about
villain
that
that
because they
that
brought
we need
him.
to know.
I'm only saying that because they brought him back and Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only
Yeah,
reason I brought
that
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 up.
is a good point. I forgot about that actually. But yeah, Marvel has been known to do that with their villains, so it's possible. But really, I think the key thing for this film, getting back to Venom and the Last Dance, is it it makes it is a film that it's trying. Sony is definitely trying to insert itself into the MCU as much as it can, and by introducing a villain like Null, and I'm just and I initially said in our previous episode I have a theory about this. So Venom: The Last Dance trailer gets announced. Audience sees Noel's going to be in the movie. All of a sudden, we start seeing rumors that, yeah, remember how we said Spider-Man 4 was going to be more grounded and it was going to have Kingpin and Daredevil? Yeah, now it might be a multiverse movie. And
I
it
hope
might
it's
have Tobey
not.
Maguire and Andrew Garfield in it. And then, okay, I'm thinking, okay, that's interesting. Then we find out the release date for Spider-Man 4 is, I think, 2 or 3 months after Avengers Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
And what we know of Avengers Doomsday so far, because we know we're getting Secret Wars after this, and if you know the story of Secret Wars, you know that in order for Secret Wars to happen, Doctor Doom probably has to win at the end of Doomsday. Like he needs to collide all the multiverses together and create Battle World in order for Secret Wars to be Secret Wars. Meaning any films taking place between Doomsday and Secret Wars, unless they're a prequel, those films will be taking place on Battle World and will be multiverse films. So now, if Spider-Man 4 is a multiverse film taking place on Battle World, and you're trying to conjure up a multiverse level villain, who better to do that with in a Spider-Man movie? A Spider-Man movie where he'll probably have the black symbiote suit. I want to add that. Then no. So that's just my prediction that Noah's going to be the villain of Spider-Man 4. I have nothing to base that on other than the theories in the back of my head. But if I'm right, hey, just know you heard it here first.
All I'm saying is, man, I again, I just want to get away from the multiverse.
Yeah.
I think we need to hurry up and combine this shit. Bring Fox, not bring Fox, but bring the mutants in. We already have Spider Man in, so we got
Mhm.
we could have a Venom in the MCU already.
I think we will.
I'm saying like this, not Tom Hardy if we
Yeah,
wanted to.
yeah, yeah.
We could because it's already set up with Spider Man being there.
Mm-hmm.
So we could have a spot. And again, Venom is created a multitude of ways in the comics. You
Mm-hmm.
know, one of my favorites is him being created through Spider Man's blood. You know,
Mm,
and I think that's a good fit for four. I think an introduction to Miles Morales is a good fit to four.
I agree.
Um, I don't want to see again. I'm just sick of the multiverse at this
Mm-hmm.
point. I think
Yeah,
most people are, and they
yeah,
mention it in Deadpool 3 a
yeah.
lot. That people are like, "Come on, this shit is ridiculous at this point."
It's over
Um,
the top, and it's. I can see how it's very hard to follow along with if you're not like someone like us who's very familiar with these characters and very familiar with multiverse concepts. If you're just a casual watcher of these films, like I can't imagine my dad following this multiverse shit
yeah.
and
Where
understanding
he
what's
came from?
going
Where
on.
to do what to?
You know what I'm saying? And my dad watches the MCU films. I promise you, if I asked him to explain what's going on with the multiverse in those movies right now, he could not tell you. And he
And
watches these films. So
and
it's
my
like
only issue with
the
it
average
is,
audience is not understanding what y'all are doing.
especially with it being live action, they're trying they're trying to make these big ass blockbusters, so they're having a bunch of people in it
Yeah.
colliding stories. I think Into the Spider Verse, that whole franchise, they're
Hmm.
doing it very well because
Yeah.
it's focusing on one particular person,
Yeah.
Spider Man. You know,
Absolutely.
and,
Yeah.
the issue
And you don't have to
is
watch other movies to
to
understand it, right?
understand it.
Like
And
it's a self-contained
yeah,
multiverse movie versus you bringing in multiverse characters from
from
this TV show and this movie,
this,
and it's like
yeah,
if I
this
haven't seen that, now I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
again, because if I've never watched the X-Men movies, let's say I'm a fucking Iron Man came out what, 08. So if
Yeah.
I was 10 in 08 and I watched all the Marvel movies and fucking Beast shows up, I don't
You
know who
like
the
who is
fuck this
this?
is.
You like
Because
who is this?
if you don't read comics, we haven't had any X-Men TV shows, any X-Men movies, since the
Mhm.
I guess we had the Days of Future Past and shit like that, and
Yeah.
Beast was in
Yeah.
there, so never mind, man. But it's still, it's too much, man. So I don't I would like to see something else. I would like to see it more grounded. I would like to see finally taking on Kingpin. I don't want to see I forgot they combining, so I don't know because I don't want to see Kingpin anymore. We're gonna
Well,
see
you're
him
about
in
to get
Dare.
him.
We're gonna so my issue. We're about to see him in Daredevil,
Yeah, I was like, you're
and
about to get Kingpin, whether you like it
again,
or not.
Kingpin has been a major foe of Spider-Man and Daredevil,
Mhm.
but
He fits better for Daredevil in this
in
context, I
this
think.
so that's why I don't want to see him, and
Yeah, it's hard to watch Spider-Man fight Thanos. and
and
then go
then
watch
go
him
back and
fight
fight fucking
Kingpin.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like we watched him fight. He's fucking he's fucking Kingpin. Because
Yeah.
Kingpin in the comics is strong as shit. Kingpin in this universe, we know he's strong, but he ain't. Well, he did eat a bullet to the face, so
Yeah, I'm about to say like the
I forgot
MCU.
about
You
that.
think you thinking of the Netflix Kingpin? MCU Kingpin is
I
OP
forgot. I
now.
forgot. I forgot.
MCU
I
MCU
forgot.
Kingpin is built a little different.
I forgot he took a bullet to the
You thinking
eye
of
and
Netflix Kingpin?
survived.
The
You
MCU
right. You
Kingpin is
are. You
another.
are
He punching
hundred
people
percent
through
right.
walls and shit. This a different animal.
So how is he gonna? How is Daredevil gonna fare against this man? But again, Daredevil was fighting fucking She-Hulk.
Yeah,
So like I said,
power scales are all over the place
it's
right now.
all over the place, and I just don't. I want to see. I would like to see the Sinister Six, man. Give me a Sinister Four. I'll say
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I think we've seen enough. Even though there's only been 3 movies, I think we have enough villains to where we could do a Sinister Six.
yeah,
I mean, and,
absolutely.
and honestly, Vulture is the main reason.
Hmm.
We got Vulture, we got Shocker. Who was in the second one?
Mysterio, but he died.
Mysterio died.
Yeah.
Some maybe a protege of Mysterio.
Hmm.
My point is, we could they could do a Sinister Six, but Sinister Six really works when niggas know who Spider Man is,
Yeah. Honestly,
and
honestly.
and
So,
there's nothing. He has no Mary Jane. He has no Aunt May.
mhm.
So that kind of takes
He's
that away.
dolo. Honestly, he's
Yeah, so
dolo. I think
that
they're
kind
going
of
to
takes that
introduce.
away.
I think Spider-Man 4 is going to introduce some new side characters for him to connect with.
They
Um,
fucking need like
yeah,
I
I
think
think
that was
we're
a
going to get more
bad
side
move.
characters.
That was a really bad move. Not only killing Aunt May, but getting rid of
Having his
MJ
friends
as
forget
well.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, very.
yeah.
That was a terrible decision. Hey, maybe they thought that out. I don't think they did, but we'll see.
We'll have to see what I'd have to see what Spider-Man 4 ends up being before I judge that decision too harshly. Because, like you said, we don't know where they're
Yeah,
taking that. So I have to see where you're taking that first before I judge the decision too harshly. I agree with you. I'm not sure where you're going to work around that, but if you're setting up for someone like Noel potentially, or at least another multiverse level threat, because Spider-Man 4 is going to be a multiverse movie, the main villain is not going to be Kingpin. It's going to be somebody whose power level matches those level of stakes. I don't think that like you're gonna have a lot of time to focus on his relationship with Mary Jane and things like that. You know what I'm saying? But you guys let us know your thoughts on Venom: The Last Dance and just the Venom trilogy in general. What do you think of the trilogy as a whole? Do you like it? Do you not like it? There's a lot of discourse, and I've seen a lot of mixed
yeah,
reviews on just on this film alone, let alone the entire trilogy. But I've seen mixed reviews on both sides. People loving this film, people hating this film. So very curious to see what the discourse on this will be going forward. So let us know you guys' thoughts, what you guys think on this. Of course, always remember to like and subscribe and continue to support. We always appreciate it. And until next time, this is the Real Fanatics. Peace.